Hi, Shane here from ComX. Just doing another live stream on Wednesday night for the show that has no name yet. So if you've got any suggestions, you're more than welcome to put them in the comments. So what are we talking about today? Well, first of all, let's just celebrate the fact that we hit the $1,800 stretch goal. Woo! So stickers and badges and bookmarks for everyone with a physical pledge. So yeah, there's more details in the actual Kickstarter if you want to find out about what stickers and what badge. But yeah, so those will be going out to everyone with a physical pledge. So yes, woo, rock on. Okay, so I'm here with Jerome.
Hey man, how are you doing?
Hey, good, thanks, Jerome. You're our voice in the background.
Yeah, I'll be your disembodied assistant in the background.
Excellent, excellent. So what we'll do is we'll get straight into it. And what we're doing is we're reviewing the PDFs that come with many of the tiers in the Kickstarter itself. So the Kickstarter itself is at that link down the bottom there, comx.link. So that's comx.link. And that'll take you to the Kickstarter where you can pledge to get different rewards. These PDFs are among those rewards. I think it's tier 4 and above gets these. So yeah, so just go have a look and find out for yourself, I guess. But yeah, these are a great pack. So without any further ado, let's have a look at the first one. And I'll just bring that screen up a bit bigger for us. I'll get rid of that stretch goal notification. Okay, so this is Amazing Tales by Dave Dye.
Yep.
Just I'll let Jerome give it a bit of an introduction.
Yeah, okay, guys. Amazing Tales #1. It's an comic book anthology written and drawn by the very, very talented Dave Dye. It's a collection of several short stories. For issue 1, there are 4 stories for us. There is Office Romance, the Runaway, Bad Karma, and Ringer's Yarn. A couple of the stories were adopted from other tales. The Runaway comes from The Cattle King by Ian Idris. I hope that I didn't bungle that. And Ringer's Yarn comes from A Great Droving Stories by Bill Marsh.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerome. Okay, so I had a quick read of this today myself, actually, and this was a great little book. Great little comic, I should say. And you were saying?
It's actually a really good book. It's the stories are a few around 10 pages long, and they're really nice. Actually, most of them have this. Each story has a very old Australian feel to it, and they're very unique. A couple of these, I haven't seen any of these types of stories in the years that I've been reading comics. Actually, Shane.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so Dave Dye has a definite Australian touch to all his stories. That's something I've noticed as well. But yeah, so I mean, we could go into the stories themselves, but we don't want to ruin the comic for anyone. So, so it's just a case of this is a great pickup. This is a great little comic as part of the pack. So, can't recommend it enough. And I know once you read this, you'll want number 2 and number 3 and so forth. So we'll just go over to the next one.
Okay, this is Angry Squad, the first issue. It's subtitled Code Angry. It's from Lucas Schaffel, and it's published by Angry Fred Comics. It's the art is from the talented Nikita Vasilchuk, and basically the story, a good gist of the story is there is Angry Fred. An old has-been gunrunner, and as you can see in the cover, it's actually they're fighting a giant gorilla. So if anyone's a fan of Godzilla versus Kong, this is the story for you.
Awesome. Yeah, and you probably did a better job on those names than I would have as well. So thanks for that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. Actually, I read this quite some time ago when the Kickstarter first came out. I got it with the Kickstarter, and Angry Fred has the ability to sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of like enlarge his arms and parts of his body.
Yeah, you can get some extra strength from it, actually.
And strength, he gets strength from it. Because here he is in the cover, you can see him. He's taking on a giant gorilla. So,
yeah, and you'd think if from the cover itself, you'd think this is your basic action story, but it's actually has a lot of depth in it, and it's Lucas Scheffel actually did a really good job doing the story for this. It feels like it's very, very personal to him. Not going to spoiler territory, but it's a really good story, and if you get this, it's one of the must reads for this entire bundle. I mean, they're all must reads, but if you like some good in-depth action and a good story with it, this is a story for you.
Awesome, thanks for that, Jerome. So that's Angry Squad with Angry Fred, code Angry. So everyone get angry. This is the one for you. So we'll move on to the next one so we don't go over the hour all over. So this is Battle for Bustle.
Yep. Okay. This is one of my favorite titles in this bundle. Battle for Bustle. Issue 1 is from Lee Chalker. It's published by Reverie, as you can see, and the story follows Christopher Bell, a human test subject, and he's basically a part of this post-apocalyptic world, similar to 1984. And it's instead of focusing more on the tyrannical side of the post-apocalyptic world they're in, it's focusing a lot on the sci-fi aspect of it and how people get out of their lot in life. It reminds me a lot of 1984, but it's much more unique. It's actually one of my my more favorite titles, and I've already seen it. I think it already has 3 chapters, and I'm happy to say I've seen them all. And you'd love this if you like your sci-fi, your what do you call this? Your post-apocalyptic stories.
Yeah, dystopian is probably the word you're looking for as well.
Yeah, that's the better term. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So I read this quite a while ago as well. Great book. I love the take on it. It starts with seeing Christopher as a test subject, and then moves on. It flashes back to when Christopher's a number. See if I can remember the number. 09117. I think.
Yeah, I think around 9. Yeah, 6779. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, my memory's not proving that well at the moment. But and it goes back to when I guess you could say he snaps. He's a pedestrian, which is like, from what I can make of the story, is the lowest level of humanity.
Yeah, he's
because everyone's split into levels, and pedestrians seem to be the lowest.
Yeah, and you can just imagine it's this comic book is a lot of story and but also a lot of telling. If you've seen Lee Chalker's, if for people who have seen Lee Chalker's work before, you'd love it, because it really encapsulates that dystopian feel to it. Everything's hand drawn, so it's easy to appreciate how much work he put in this.
Yeah, true. And the art really suits the story. It's I think in the review we said something along the line, it's a beautiful art for an ugly story. So,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, so great book, that one. So we'll just move on to the next one.
Okay, I
was just going to say the title, Chimera, I believe it's pronounced. Hopefully I got that right, Hayden.
Chimera. It's Chimera. This is the issue 1 for Chimera. It's also from Reverie. It comes the stories from Hayden Spirell. It's illustrated by Mark Oliver, lettered by Darren Close, and Shane and I were just discussing this story before we got on air, actually, and
Yep.
we were still talking about the mystery within the story because Chimera. Yeah, I mean the term Chimera itself basically means something something that was combined together, and Chimera. The entire story is will get you thinking. Actually, I mean,
Yeah, it does.
it is very complex, and it is a thinking person's story. It's a lot. It goes into a lot about the struggles for mental health, and how people are going to go far just to get through you, and it's really complex. It's hard to put it in words, actually.
Yeah. And it doesn't make it extremely clear what's exactly is going on, which is probably what grabs your attention, because I'm now looking forward to number 2, because I want to find out if what I think was going on was actually what was going on. So that's my little thing I've got going on at the moment with it, is that I'm not totally sure what's happening. It's sort of like I've got like I won't go into it because it'll ruin the story, but I've got a few theories, and I want to get number 2 so I can find out which theory is correct.
Yeah, true. You would love to see the second issue of this once you read it.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll jump on to the next one. Crimson Rascal. This was fun.
Yeah, this one is okay. Crimson Rascal is a story. It's a story by Peter Wilson. This is he's basically he's in the outing for the story. It follows Crimson Crusader and Red Rascal. As this is the second story actually, and it follows them going out for a supermarket run, and they meet several supervillains, and there's just a lot of twists and turns in this story. It's comedy. It reminds me so much of Dennis the Menace. And if you love that, if you enjoy that that time of cartoons back in the day, this is really good.
Yeah, this one gave me a good laugh. I can't explain why, because it will ruin the little stories. And it'll ruin the little surprises that you get along the way. But basically, Crimson's all muscle, no brains.
Yeah.
And Rascal's is your little brains that keeps him going. It even reminds me a little bit of Tick and Arthur in a strange sort of way, but but not exactly the same. Just a little similar in the way that one is the brains and one is the muscle. So yeah, so that it's a great read. It's a good laugh. I highly recommend it. So we'll move on to the next one. This is a bit of a Australian icon.
Yeah, this is Killaroo Scars. It's a one-shot story from Ozone Studios. It follows the origins of Rufus the Killaroo. It is written by Daniel Lawson, illustrated by Ryan Wilson, and it has concepts from the man himself, Darren Close. Yeah, if you've been a fan of Australian comics for all this time, I don't think Killaroo is a household name. So if you want basically the origin story for Killaroo, this is the comic book that you would want to read.
Yep, agreed. This is a good one. This is a nice little, it's a nice place to start, I would say, if you haven't read Killaroo before. It's a nice place to learn a bit about Rufus, his, I guess you say, his motivations and so forth in the comics that follow. It's a tight little story, so I really enjoyed this one, and it's the first Killaroo I read. Sorry, I don't know if it's the first in the series, but it's the one I first read, and it's a great starting place.
Yeah, I mean if you're new to if you're new to Australian comics and you want some springboard into other stories, you'd want to start with Killaroo Scars and see the other the issues after that, because this gives you a really good perspective into how the mind of Killaroo works. Because in a lot of stories, you'd think that he's just this action man, basically this character, but this gives him a good amount of backstory that you'd hardly find in a lot of the other issues, and it's a good springboard.
Yeah, agreed. So I'll move on to the next one. This is another favorite, and this is another one that left me wanting more.
Yes, Lana Leuca is from Lauren Marshall. It's written by Tanya Beeson, and also works from Kayleen Harris. The entire story is basically Lana Leuca is an anthropomorph. Is a, how do I put it? She's a half human, I think. And basically, she's a detective. At the same time, she's works for an underground team, basically, and she solves mysteries that are very. How do I put that? I, if
I'm not sure what you're going for there, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really good detective story, and I wouldn't want to spoil this, because if I open my mouth some more, I think I'll be outing the entire story, because it's. I assure you, with Lauren Marshall's art, this is a really nice story. It flows well. It goes straight, and it has some twists and turns that you wouldn't think that a detective story will have.
Yeah, and I heard the term that what she is the other day, and I've forgotten it, so that comment's kind of useless. But she seems to have some abilities that go along with her being half human, half rabbit, half goat.
Yeah,
there's a name for it, but I forget what the name is.
Jackalope. She's a jackalope. Yeah, I think that's
the word.
Yeah,
that's the word. Thank you very much, Jerome. Awesome. So this is a good story, and yeah, like I said, you finish it up, and you are left wanting the next issue. Now, this is just a bit of a tidbit for people to get a bit of a. Well, I'll let Jerome explain. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Perchance Dream is a story from Michelando's, Tim McEwen, and Andrew Phillips. This story, basically, if for Twilight Zone fans out there, if you've seen the episode Perchance to Dream, that's basically the story for this, but it's a lot different too, and it also has Trevor Bovis. If for people who have read Greener Pastures, this is actually a really nice short story. It gives you, it's very psychedelic, you know. It's weird and funny at the same time. It's basically it's a look at the psyche of somebody who's trying to sleep. It sounds mundane, but it's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. I got a good laugh out of it, and at the beginning I was like, what the hell's going on? And then it's like, you have that light bulb moment at the end.
Yeah. It's very
psychedelic. I haven't seen the Twilight Zone episode, so I wasn't ready for any of it. So
yeah,
we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, The Adventures of Rudy Cool. Basically, it's a graphic novel by Silver Fox Comics. It's from it's the story of Sarab Del Rio of Baza fame. It's the illustrations, the pencils and inks come from Glauco Silva. Colors from Fred Mourinho, and lettering from Nick Shaw, with Don Ticho in production. And the story, The Adventures of Rudy Cool, if it's a nice story. It's a kid detective story. It's a kid spy story, actually. If it's reminiscent of I feel Nickelodeon shows from back in the 90s. It's more a lot of spy thriller. I think that's the better term. It's heist, it's spy thriller, and it's silly kid stuff that you'd think it won't work for a mature audience, but it's quite entertaining.
Yes, it is. I had a lot of fun reading this one. Some of the strange things that occur and the strange characters were very amusing and kept me wanting to read more. So they did a good job with this one. And yeah, you got your little twist at the end, of course, just to keep it even more interesting. So yeah, so have a read of this one definitely if you get the pack. You'll want to have a read of this one because it's good fun. It looks like it's only for kids, but there's a lot of jokes in it that aren't just for kids. So it's a good read. It's a good read.
It's a good read. Yeah, gotta agree.
Yeah, cool. Go on to the next. Devil's Toilet.
The Devil's Toilet is a comic book again from Reverie Publications. It's written, illustrated, and colored by the one and only Robert Rob Lyle, for those who know him from the internet. Devil's Toilet basically follows, if you can see it in the cover, it's a literal toilet from the underworld who's trying to escape from hell, and as you can see, he's out in the real world, but the entire journey is quite strange because you'd think that a toilet will not have any reason to go get out of hell, but he's going out there, and there's a reason why he's out in the world.
Yeah, definitely. This is a good little fun book. I had a great little laugh, and it was entertaining, and you want to see what this toilet does next. So that's the great little bit about it. And you get to see the origin of the toilet, how the toilet came to be a toilet that wanted to escape hell. So it's a nice book to start off with, to see where did this talking toilet, you don't see it here, but he's got arms as well, which hold, I believe they're called hell guns. So it's quite interesting, but he can't walk, so he needs I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he needs other
he needs the big red fella here to carry him, but I can't remember the red fella's name. So
yeah,
I'll just leave that alone. And the one to his right is a fallen angel who, for some reason, has had all his skin removed. I'm not sure what that's about, but I guess we'll find out as we read more issues.
Yep, exactly.
So, what's next? The Talking Bread.
Yes, the Talking Bread is from Kieran Jack. It's from Halftone Productions, and it's a 6-part story. Actually, it's as you can see, there's a number 1 out of 6 there. You'll be getting the first issue in this bundle, and We're Alive is basically the idea of the story is there's this guy who's a genius baker, but he doesn't know what bread is. He doesn't understand what bread is, and he accidentally makes talking bread. The bread are alive. They are hilarious, and they are out there, and they see this big world out there, and with basically they're in the outskirts of Melbourne, and they'll see a lot of they'll see how bad the world is for a group of sentient loaf of bread, actually.
Exactly. And I love this because you got 6 pieces of bread here. They've all got their own names and personalities, and it's not a spoiler really, but at the end of the comic it says what happened to the other 12 slices. So I found that interesting, and it's like, oh, I want to read the next one to find out what happened to the other 12 slices.
It's quite the light read. It's unlike other comic books. You can read it and you never think that you're near the end, because it's the story flows really nicely, and everything is chaotic, and everything is moving at this pace that you'd want the second issue of this immediately after you read it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll move on to the next one.
Yes. This is Toby and the Magic Pencil. It's from Gary. It's written by Gary Delar and illustrated by Dylan Naylor. This Toby and the Magic Pencil is one of those comic books. this story is a legend in itself. Actually, it's one of those comic books that you can, even if you're not familiar with Australian comics, you can find this at the comic book shop. You give it a read, and it's a good introduction in what you can expect from the industry, because it's a really good story. It's very tight and it's very imaginative. It's quite creative.
Yeah,
It's mhm.
a great fantasy story. Yeah, a lot of twists and turns, and because of that magic pencil, there's a lot of things that are possible. So it's quite interesting story as it goes along because of what that pencil can do. The thing that I found really amusing about, well, not amusing, I found really interesting about this comic is it actually introduces a character which you see in the next comic we'll go through, called Torn, and it introduces a character called Red Gum. So
Yeah,
I found that interesting. This type of story, which is very fantasy, very
very
magical,
childlike. Yeah,
very childlike, actually it gives birth to a character of a more adult story of Torn. So I found that they connected those two really, really cool. I found that
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool.
They have a shared universe, which is very, very, very rare.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go on to Torn.
Yeah, for the cool kids out there, this is Torn issue 1. It comes from Reverie. It's the story's created by Gary Delar. It's written and lettered by George Hall and art by Peter J. Lawson. Yeah, Torn is it's basically Torn's powers is to mimic things. He can mimic any superpower that he wants. So you can imagine how weird the story is for him. And as you can see, there's red gum on his right hand side, and which comes from Toby. So you can connect those stories. And this is weird because it changes the tone from Toby being, yeah, as Shane said, Toby from being this magical childlike fantasy story. Torn is strictly for adults. It's this X-Men combined with Spawn. Basically, it's that mature. It's quite a read.
Yeah, it is. It's good. And yeah, it's interesting how Torn can take these powers and abilities from others, and it's quite interesting to see how he does that. In that, it's not just superpowers he seems to be able to mimic. It also seems to be just the abilities of other creatures, which I found that is a very interesting take on that kind of power. So Torn's a very interesting character, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly where they take this guy, on what journey they take him on.
Yep.
So, yep. And here's another one that's a nice laugh.
Yeah, this is Vamoose issue 1. It's another anthology. If you remember, what's this? If you remember Amazing Tales, it's also an anthology like that. It has 5 stories in it. Some stories come from Rob Lyle. You have Nick May there. There's Hayden Spirell. So you get good names, and it's different stories. It's more they're mostly about chickens, and
Yeah, the theme is too many chooks. So it's about too
yeah,
many chickens. So that's the theme. Every story has some element to it that
a
comes
chicken
back
element.
to a scene, comes back to a scene where there's too many chooks somewhere in the comic. So
Yeah, which
yeah,
is weird because you can imagine, you can only imagine how many uses you can make, how many stories you can make about chickens, but they did it anyway.
they did it, and they did a good job.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to diminish anyone else's story, but Millie Holton killed it. Her story is one page, and it made me laugh. It was great. So the other stories were good. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, killed it. Okay, so but that, yeah, so we got too many chooks and just stories about too many chooks. This particular cover has Old Man Biscuit and his swords. He's an interesting character in himself, and there's a bit of a twist at the end of that one about him. So that's a definitely a must read.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. This is Wordsmith, Volume One. It's from Stephen Koch. It's published by Sigmate Studios. The stories from Stephen Koch, art from P.R. Dedelis, and colored by Peyton Freeman. This is one of the more unique stories I've seen around. It's I've never seen anything like it. Basically, the idea is that in this world there are people called wordsmiths, and they can create words that have different kinds of effect on the people of this world, and they can influence one people. They can influence a lot of people just from the words they smith, and it depends on how good they are. And our main character, she's the best wordsmith around, and she not her powers are not all. She's trying to use them for good, and
Yeah.
yeah, the story comes for after that. So
Yeah. So basically, a wordsmith in this story, what Jerome was saying there was how they have the ability to make a word, I guess is the way to put it. That's me putting my hand up, doing the double fingers, make a word.
mhm.
And that affects people. And the beauty of the story is what a word you think it would affect someone, it actually affects them in a totally different way. Because every word is personal. So when you say
Yeah,
one word to one person, it means something different to another person, and that kind of is what this plays on. And I really like that part of the story. And it's what I really like about this is it's got a nice what's the word I'm looking for? A nice, not motive. I can't think of the word. It's not theme. Oh no, I've lost it. But yeah, pretty much what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say. Sorry.
no
What I'm
problem.
trying to. It's a moral to the story. It has a nice moral. That's what I was looking for. There's a nice moral to this story, and it's a really nice and touching little story for that
Yeah,
alone. So
yeah, and
I enjoyed this one. I read it, even though I got the book for this quite some time ago. I read it for the first time today, and I really enjoyed it. So we'll move on to the next one. I think there's a
yep,
next one.
yeah. Okay.
Action lovers.
Yep. It's Extreme Champion Tournament, or XCT. This is Spartacus number 0. For fans of Greek stories, this is the one that you would want to read. It's from comics. It's published by Comics to Movies. The story is from Sean Paulette and Brendan Halliday. The comics was penciled by Jerry Gaylord, inked by Alex Tolazzo, colored by Gabriel Casada. So if you know this historical Spartacus, this is him. And the first the number 0 story puts you back in on his origins in the in the
A major battle.
yeah,
Major
in the
battle.
major battle back in Greece. And there's a twist in the story. You'd think the first time I read this one, I thought it was a historical story. It is quite historical, but it has a twist that changes the entire genre of the story, and you would never think that that it will come to that point, which is a nice surprise. It's action, and it's quite a mystery, if we can put it that way.
Yeah, it's quite a mystery. Hopefully, I don't spoil it. But
Yeah,
there's a sci-fi twist, I guess is the best way to say it. You're
yeah,
going by a Greek massacre story, just full on battle action. It just seems like this is all about ancient times, and then
yeah.
there's wham, they whack you with a sci-fi twist. So that was really interesting.
Yep. I've read this like 3 times, but just so I can pick up where they shift the tone, and you need and the story is quite nice. It's the action flows really good, and it basically pulls you in for the Greek, for those fans of Greek history and 300, and gives you this sci-fi twist that you'd still want to read the number one for this for sure. It
Yeah,
doesn't turn you,
definitely.
it won't turn you off uh, the story.
No, definitely not.
No.
It was very interesting twist that makes you want to read the next one to find out exactly what is going on.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the last one. Yep, that's the last one. So that is the 16 comics that will be coming with. Hang on, I'll put my face back on the screen. That is the. Yeah, I know. Don't. It's okay. I apologize. My face is back on the screen. But well, after looking at all those beautiful covers. But yeah, these are the 16 comics, the PDF comics that come with the PDF pack, which is, I believe, tier 4 and above. Some of the covers may differ slightly. Just I should put that out there because some of these are still, I guess you could say, being worked on or changed for the thing. But the inner comic itself is still going to be the same. It's just there's just some changes to the covers.
Yeah,
Well, not
there'll be
all of
some
them.
changes.
Yeah, possible. That's the word I'm looking for. Possible
Yeah.
changes. So yeah, these are all great reads. I'm lucky enough to have got to have a sampling of them all before everyone else. And some of them I've bought the actual physical copies myself, and I will probably go out and buy the physical copies of all of these now because they're all great comics. I've got to find out the Chance to Dream what that's from. I believe it's so I can get a copy of the entire comic. But yeah, great reads, great entertainment. You can't go wrong getting this pack. It's just, yeah, it's awesome. I am so grateful to the creators and the artists and the writers and everyone else who created these and then let us use them in this campaign and let us give them out as part of the rewards for pledging on the ComX 18-month calendar campaign.
Yep.
So thank you to all of you. If you are listening, if you're not listening, well, I'll still say thank you to you anyway. Many thanks to you all, and many thanks to the people pledging. I can't thank you enough. You're all legends in my book. So thank you so much for helping this calendar be a reality. This is just awesome. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and for everyone who gets who supports the Kickstarter, these 16 comics are a good way for you to get it's a good sample platter of what you can expect from Australian comics. So if you're new to this, these are great stories that can get you started, and then you can go on to other stories. And if you're someone who's been reading Australian comic books from before, these are also great reminders on why Australian comic books are still great story. They still have great stories up to this day.
Yeah. That's a good point. This is a great sampling of Australian indie comics. A great introduction to all the different types you can get, and I'm sure there's even more genres and so forth out there, but this is a really good taste of what Australia has to offer. And so for all our overseas listeners, this is a great place to start. You can get I believe it's tier 4. Hopefully I'm getting that right, where you can get a digital pack that includes these. So for all our overseas listeners, this is a great way to get to know Australian comics and give yourself a good introduction to them. And for anyone in Australia, if you haven't read these, this is a great way to get your hands on them and read comics that you haven't read before and get into some new titles and help boost the industry. So that's an awesome thing as well.
Yep,
so
exactly.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to the creators. Thank you to the pledges. And yeah, just all I can keep saying is thank you, because this is great. The support from everyone has been incredible. I'm just blown away. So I guess we're not quite on the hour mark, but we've gone through all the books now. And so everyone's got a fair idea what they're about, a good idea what they're about. So, and I don't have a bad thing to say about any of them. So that just goes to show how great they are. So, yeah. I think what we'll do is we'll cut it off early.
Yeah.
So if you go to comx.link, that'll take you to the Kickstarter itself. And that's ComX as in COMX.link. There's no I. And that'll get you to the Kickstarter itself, where you can go through the rewards, find out what's in there. I mean, at the end of the day, this is about an 18-month calendar with some great art in it.
Yep.
I can quickly jump over to that, I think. There might be a few weird pictures here, so you'll have to excuse me. And these are the actual pieces of art that you'll find in the calendar themselves. I'll boost that up so you can actually see it. I mean, they're all a bit cropped, so you can't see the whole picture, but they'll be on a calendar 300 by 300. So check them out. Each picture is with each artist on the actual Kickstarter, so you can see who it is who created each image. And the calendar itself will have all 18 of these, one for each month. So what a great way to get through a year and a half with this amazing art. And you can read those amazing comics in the pack if you get a calendar. And when you get a calendar, none of this if, when you get a calendar. And so yeah, so enjoy all this campaign has to offer. And thank you for helping us out and for your support.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone who's tuning in and supporting the Kickstarter. This is wonderful art from all these talented artists, Australian artists. So just give the Kickstarter a look, see what you think is which level tiers are the right one for you, and give it a go. For sure you'd love this. All this wonderful art in your home, in calendar form, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And for those on YouTube, and I just realized I haven't been watching the comments. I am so sorry. I've been so busy with everything else, I haven't watched the comments, and there's a lot of comments. So yeah, I agree with that. Hang on, I do agree with this one, but a PDF is a wonderful place to start.
And it also gives a chance to, and if we have overseas fans that would love to give it a start. I mean, there's nothing like physical comic books, but PDF, you start there and then you go through the physicals. Always a good thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I went a bit silent there. I was reading the comments that I should have been reading in the first place. Which reminds me, for all those who are on YouTube, do us a quick favor and click down on the subscribe button. That would be so awesome if you could do that. To all our friends over on Facebook, thank you so much. I apologize for not watching the comments and keeping track of what you're all saying. And it was Christopher was 091177. So we were both wrong. It wasn't 76 and it wasn't 79. We were close.
And that's why you gotta read the comics, guy.
Yeah, so there it is. Facebook users told us. So, dear. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. This is really bad. There's so many of them. I'm so sorry to everyone. And well, we'll leave it at that. Jerome and myself will hopefully be back next week, next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Possibly with some guests next time, possibly not. We haven't really worked it out yet. But
still need a title for this stream.
And we still need a title for the stream. And I'm going through the comments and I don't see any suggestions. So if people could leave suggestions after this is finished, what we should call this.
Yeah, leave a comment.
Want to become famous? Oh dear. We got some spammers in the comments as well. That's great. From over at Twitch. Is it called Twitch? Yeah. So so in the comments, leave some suggestions for a name for this Wednesday show, and would love to get some suggestions and try to come up with something, because at the moment it's just the ComX Wednesday show.
Yeah, it's the ComX Wednesday show.
Yeah, so we'll just go with that. Well, thank you everyone. It was nice getting out and doing this, and sorry I didn't read your comments earlier, guys and gals. So I guess we've gone through everything. Go over to comx.link, get what you pledge for, what suits you, what suits your budget, what you actually want out of the Kickstarter itself. Mm-hmm. There is no too smaller donation. There's no too smaller pledge. And we'll try to get rewards off to most of those pledges. I think there's a low pledge where you don't get rewards and you just get our forever thank yous. So thank you very much. Thank you for everyone's support. Thank you for watching this, and we'll see you next Wednesday. See you later. See you, Jerome.
See you, Shane. Take care.
You too.